What is going on? It is that time of the day yet again. What time? Gym time. Yes, sir. All right. So, on today's agenda, it's going to be back and triceps. This is somewhat of a staple workout for me. I never really enjoyed the chest and tris and the back and bis, but I do like the back and tris and the chest and bis, as you have seen on my channel a few times now. My reasoning for this is when I hit chest, my triceps are already kind of hit. And most people's logic is, okay, I'll just finish the triceps off. My logic is, if I hit chest, my biceps are going to be fresh. So I'll get to hit my chest when it's fresh and my biceps. So the next day, I get to hit my back when it's fresh, and I get to hit my triceps after they've recovered a little bit. Some might say, well, you did hit your triceps a little bit before on chest day, but at the same time, it was indirect. So it's not necessarily going to be the full thrashing that they're used to receiving. And I think it's been working pretty well for me. So I'm just going to keep the formula the same and keep rocking with it. Plus, I don't know. It's just sometimes it's fun doing things a little bit different than everyone else. It kind of feels like you're doing things your own way, because you are. But I think that's ultimately what helps do this like long term, just enjoying the process, making it your own. I think a big reason why it's hard for a lot of people to stick to a gym routine is because it's not personalized and they're trying to follow somebody else's blueprint. And if it works for you, that's great. But at the end of the day, we're all built a little bit different, and from each other, that is. And you got to find what works for you, man. Like, if you like hitting quads and chest, you're going to be hard pressed to find somebody else that does that exact workout. But if you get the best chest pump and the best quad pump, and strength is there every single time, and you just get locked in, give me one good reason why you shouldn't do it that way. Because if it works for you, well, then it works. So make it your own. Really just experiment, I think for a long time, I would get caught up in doing programs and setting like a strict gym routine for myself. And that works for some people. And I was kind of starting to fall out of love, as unfortunate as that sounds, with lifting. And then I was just like, you know what? Screw this. I can't do the whole, you're hitting this movement every single chest day in this order, this many sets, this many reps. So I just threw the logbook out the window, and I just went into the gym and did what I wanted to. And that's kind of how, I don't really like the whole 4x10 routine, I want to be able to do 2 sets of this, 5 sets of that, 3 sets of this, kind of whatever I'm feeling. Now, at this point, it's kind of been boiled down to a certain amount of sets, going for a certain amount of volume, but there's still room for, some randomness, some fun. And I think a lot of people forget about that after doing it for such a long period of time. It gets so ingrained in your routine, it can start to feel like a job, and you forget that you actually do it because you enjoy it, and you need to keep it fun. Because if it's not fun, then what's the point? And there's going to be times where you go to the gym and you just don't want to get that workout in. But if you're trying to get huge or whatever, you just going to have to go when you got to go. But primarily, I think for the most part, you should be enjoying yourself. Like, I look forward to going to the gym every single day, whether it was a good day or a bad day. Even on rest days, I'm like, damn, bro, I wish it wasn't even a rest day. I just want to go lift. I just wish my body didn't need to recover. I wish it recovered as soon as I was done working out so I could work out again right after I just finished working out. That's how much I love working out. If you couldn't tell, I like it a lot. But other things on my mind right now, I hope you're doing your cardio. I think with cardio, a lot of people, man, they know how good it is for you. They just know. And I'm not even talking about cardio for losing weight. I'm talking about cardio in a bulk. Cardio for the sake of doing cardio, right? And I find there's a great level of satisfaction that you get from doing something that's generally considered to not be fun. I think things that are good for you generally get labeled with the stigma of sucking. And, you know, you'd probably be right. You know, going from eating McDonald's every day to eating chicken and rice could be considered boring. But you got to look at the flip side. Looking like you got a McDonald's physique versus a Greek god physique, I wouldn't call that boring. So, on that topic, why are you going to skip your cardio if you know that doing it every day is going to help you keep the weight off? It's going to keep your appetite up. Your appetite is going to be more likely aimed at those foods that are better for you at building a better physique. And it just feels good at a certain point. I think, you know, now, today, I think a lot of people are more open to meditation and like taking care of your mental state. And, you know, you don't even have to be religious, right? Just slowing your breathing down and focusing on that and taking deep breaths in and out. That's cardio, dude. With cardio, you're doing steady state. Like, you're not going up and down in speed all the time. You're doing the same speed. You're getting your heart rate elevated, ideally above 120, 130 beats per minute. You're not trying to win a race. You're just going for 30 minutes. You're trying to get a sweat. You're trying to get your heart rate up. You're trying to get some blood pumping. Just control your breathing. Focus on your breathing. Throw on some anime. Watch some YouTube. I don't care what you do. Listen to music. Read a book. Whatever you got to do. Treat it like it's meditation. I think you can do more than one thing at one time. You don't just have to sit there and stare at a blank wall while you're doing your cardio and tell yourself that it sucks the entire time you do it. Because I got a big secret for you guys. Maybe not you personally, but everybody else out there. Definitely not you. When they're doing cardio, the whole time they're doing it, and I used to do this too, you're telling yourself how much it sucks. Well, if you tell yourself that it sucks, it's going to suck. Go into the gym, tell yourself you're going to have the shittiest workout of your life. You think you're going to walk out having the best workout of your life? Some like reverse psychology, whatever, mumbo jumbo? You can't. I don't think you can really trick your mind like that. You know, you might be able to trick somebody else. You might be able to say, oh, I don't think you can do 30 minutes on the Stairmaster or whatever. And you're like, okay, I'll prove you wrong, right? Do you think that person is going to be on the Stairmaster and be like, oh, this sucks? Or do you think he's going to be like, I'm going to prove that guy wrong? So maybe you should go at it with the mentality of the ether of gains is taunting you, saying, I don't think you can achieve this physique. I don't think you can look the way you picture yourself looking. Say, all right, I'm going to hop on that cardio machine. And I might not necessarily be thrilled to do it, but I'm going to prove you wrong, whoever you is. And it should be yourself, right? Because we're challenging ourselves. And if you're just telling yourself, I want to get big, but you're just going to the gym, if you're just going to the gym, right, that's the first step. But once you're in it, you got to maximize sleep, nutrition, cardio, and it gets even more complex from there. And we're not trying to overcomplicate things, but I can't tell you how many times I've heard, oh dude, I just want to get huge, but I don't have time to eat, or I can't sleep, or I can't this, I can't drink water. Dude, we all have the same 24 hours in the day. So I don't know what you're doing during your day, but most likely you're probably spending too much time scrolling on your phone. You can scroll on your phone while you're doing cardio. It doesn't take a whole lot of time to fill up a water bottle and drink it. It doesn't take a whole lot of time to prep meals for an entire week. Don't give me the excuse that it's too expensive to cook food for the entire week, because it's hell of a lot cheaper than fast food, I can tell you that. So don't make excuses. Challenge yourself. Stop telling yourself that situations suck that you want to be in. You want that physique. Why are you going to tell yourself that everything you have to do to get it sucks? It's not supposed to be easy, because if it was easy, achieving it wouldn't be satisfying. When you achieve the physique that you've been dreaming of and you look in the mirror, you're going to say, hell yeah, that was a challenge. And you're going to get that feedback of like, that physique you see in the mirror is a reflection of your hard work. Not just, oh, I took this pill and then all of a sudden the fat just shed off. So keep that in mind. Anyway, that was a long ramble. I will see you at the first set of whatever it is we're doing today. I hope you guys are ready for today's back workout, because it is a great one. There's also some triceps in at the end, but that's a little bit later down the road. Anyway, we're starting here. You probably predicted it, unless I said it in the car beforehand. Starting with this machine row. I love this machine. You can move the handles separately from each other, so you can do it as a single arm row, or you can kind of do it together like I'm doing right here. If you remember from the last video, the hamstring and back workout, I mentioned I was going to try lowering the handles and see if that changed anything. I did that here. To be honest, I didn't really feel a huge difference. My strength was about the same. I felt the same amount of tension in my back, and I lowered the seat by quite a bit. I went, like, normally I have it right at the top, and I kind of went right in the middle of the settings there. If I went any lower than that, then I would have just been pulling at a weird angle. But anyway, that was that. Felt great. Got a good pump. Moving on to some lat pull downs. Almost getting up to the full stack here, which will be pretty sweet if I can do that before prep. But we got about a week until that starts. But I should still be able to get some good strength out in the first 4 weeks of that or so. I don't think strength is going to go down too much in the early stages. Of course, we are trying to hold on to as much of it as possible. But yeah, just really trying to force the elbows down and back a little bit, straight into the floor, pulling the bar down to our upper chest as best as we can. Now, it's no surprise that I am swaying a little bit. With back, I don't know. I don't really have any issues with a little bit more swinging in my form. Now, obviously, I'm not an advocate for just throwing weight around and putting yourself in harm's way, but I think with back, it's such a difficult muscle to grow just because there's so much muscle back there that you can kind of get away with cheating a little bit easier, and overloading the back is just a lot easier if you're kind of throwing the weight around. Now, it's easier to throw the weight back, but you still want to control the weight on the way down as best you can, even though sometimes it looks like the weight is going just as fast on the way down as it is on the way back. I'm fighting against it as hard as I can. So there's a lot of tension, a lot of blood going into the muscle. And sometimes I don't lock out all the way. That's just me trying to keep tension on the muscle the entire time. Sometimes when you literally extend all the way, you lose the tension and you kind of have to re-engage. I'm not really trying to worry about that. I just want to have a set of concentrated tension on my muscle. And, you know, if it's time to slow it down maybe and do some more lighter, longer squeezes, then we'll do that. But this single arm row here is super nice. I haven't done it in a while, but what I like is the handles are pretty long. So when you're fresh, you can grab them at the bottom and you can increase the tension there because your hand is closer to the pivot point. And then once you get a little fatigued, or you can just do a mechanical drop set, you can just grab the handle a little bit higher and it makes the pulling a little bit easier. And then we're finishing off the back portion with some pullovers. Nothing crazy, just forcing a little bit more blood into the muscle before we're all done and moving on to triceps. With these, I kind of just choose a weight and just rep it until I can't anymore. I've never had good luck or felt, I guess, pullovers have never felt great to me less than 12 reps. I feel like this is an exercise that less is definitely more in terms of weight. Now, obviously, I'm trying to do as much weight as I can, but this is a more of a pumping movement rather than a strength movement, in my opinion. I think if you're doing too much weight, then that's going to be a little bit too much cheating. This is a movement where you definitely want to kind of lock your form into place. As you can see, the weight kind of threw me around a little bit there. But doing a quick little drop set, and you can kind of even see the back peeking through the shirt a little bit. And dude, I'm getting so excited to start prep. Like, I haven't seen myself lean in over 2 years, and it's about time, man. I've just been growing, and we need to see what some of this muscle looks like underneath. Then moving on to triceps. Just a couple of sets of push downs to start. I am starting to focus more on overhead tricep movements, as in the past a bulk of my tricep training has been push downs or movements where my elbows are in front of my body rather than over my head. And with the overhead movements, that's going to focus more on the long head of the tricep, which is going to get you that drop like in the front double bicep, which is what I need. I need that kind of like sweep underneath. But the reason I start with push downs is it's a good movement to kind of warm up the elbows and just get them exposed to some kind of weight. I think a lot of people, myself included, have issues with elbow pain going into overhead movements fresh, like when you haven't warmed up your triceps. And I'm not talking about just jumping into tricep training strictly cold. You should always warm up a muscle before you start a working set. What I mean is, when I train my triceps, if I do an overhead movement first, my triceps are not going to feel great. I'm not sure why, and maybe it's just because I'm doing something wrong, which could be a likely possibility. But with the push downs, you're already kind of pumping the triceps up. So in a way, you're reducing the amount of weight you can move on your next sets or in your next exercises. So it really forces me to lock in and focus on getting a good squeeze and a good stretch. I think the stretch is going to be the most important part here on the overhead triceps, especially when you have elbow pain. Getting blood into the elbows is going to help you out big time. But this is going to be the last set recorded of the video. After this set of skull crushers, I did a few sets of overhead dumbbell extensions, but those will be remaining unseen. And from here, we'll just finish off the set, and then I'll see you guys in the posing room. Another day, another workout completed, and it's a back pump, so you know it's about to be juicy. And my back is absolutely thrashed. My triceps, I'll give you a sneak peek, absolutely swollen. And I bet you can already guess, but once I'm done here, I'm gonna go do abs, and I'm gonna go do cereal. Well, I'm not gonna do cereal, I'm gonna eat my cereal with some protein. Before I show you the pump, if you guys haven't caught on by now, you probably heard me say the same things almost every video. And for some of you, that's boring, but it's an important lesson because it just goes to show you that when you're doing bodybuilding, everything's gonna be the same, like every single day, doing the same thing day in, day out, going a little bit harder each and every time, getting more and more consistent every single day. And you're gonna be telling yourself the same thing every single day. So if you're hearing the same thing from me, then what does that tell you? It tells you you should be doing the same thing every day too. Anyway, enough of the school lesson. I'm sure you guys weren't paying attention anyway. Let's look at this pump. And if you haven't noticed the common theme by now, it's getting harder and harder to get out of these shirts. And I don't know how I feel about it because in about a week, I'll be starting prep. So the size will still be there, but we'll start getting smaller. But we'll get leaner, so that's a good thing. But these full as a house pumps are probably gonna go away. We're gonna start getting fatter. We're gonna lean out, we're gonna have less energy, but it's all part of the ride. So we'll just enjoy every part of it while we can to the best of our ability. Ugh. Now, I finished back about 30 minutes ago, so that was perhaps the worst timing possible. I ran out of memory, did a quick little delete, but unfortunately messed up the grand reveal. But you've all seen it before, so nothing really new. Let's just get some poses before this pump goes away. See what it looks like from behind. Whew. Now, you heard me talking in the car about the back and triceps combo. Another reason why I like doing that is, I don't know, there's nothing cooler than like hitting this pose, the front double, and then just seeing this tricep drop. And it's only gonna get freakier the more once we start to cut down. But as you can see, we're starting to accumulate some fluff on the sides. But that's all a game of mental strength, you know. I'm not really too worried about it. It's gonna shed off in a matter of weeks, and then we're gonna start looking like a different animal. So anyway, you know the drill. Abs, cereal. I'll see you in the car. And that is a wrap yet again. Another workout complete. Feeling great. Got the carbs in the system. Already starting the repairing process of my muscles. And now it's just time to go home, throw one more meal down, and get to bed and continue the recovery process. Now, tomorrow is a rest day, which also continues the recovery process. But to elaborate a little bit more on the redundancy I was talking about there in the posing room, I feel like it's easy for a lot of lifters to write somebody off because they say the same thing over and over and over again. And they end up thinking that, this person, I already know everything because I can repeat the same things that this guy says, and you start to think that you know it all. There's a benefit to hearing the same thing over and over again, even when it gets repetitive. But you want it to kind of get to the point where you hear it so much that it's like, did you do your cardio today? Yes. Did you do your cardio today? Yes. Did you do? Yes, right? Or whatever it is. You want it to be before that person can finish saying what they're about to say, you can finish the sentence for them. And that's kind of how you know you're picking up on the small little things. And but you need to put them into practice too. But I think, if somebody's switching up what they're saying all the time, I don't know. Anyway, we're all trying to figure it out. But anyway, physique-wise, I'm gonna be real. Now, I understand, by all means, I am nowhere near a social media ideal physique, right? Definitely a little bit fluffier than most people. That would grab a lot of attention. I definitely have a good amount of size for me, like definitely the biggest I've ever been. And although I see things that I would like to improve the next time I do an off season, things I think I can do better, I think I've mentioned this before, I think there's a real value in getting into the higher body fat percentages when you're doing an off season. And I'm not talking about going full bore like man pig, okay? I'm not talking like 20% plus body fat, which I might be starting to push that limit there. But the higher body fat percentages, like, I'm just going to be real, like, you might not look the greatest, and there comes a point where your body fat gets a little bit too high, that your body becomes less efficient at putting on muscle and more efficient at putting on fat. But it's kind of the same way when you're really, really lean. When you're really lean, I would say, like, I'm just going to say sub 10%, just to be safe. If you're maybe even sub 12, if you're sub 10, 12% body fat year round, your body's not really going to be maximized for putting on muscle. It's really where you need that excess, that extra energy, which is where the fat storages come into play, that when your muscles are broken down, they can pull from the extra energy that you're feeding into your system with food, which should be healthy food, whole foods, to build muscle. And that's going to be in your like 12 to 18% body fat range. You're going to have better sleep. Your joints are going to feel better. You're going to have a healthier mental state. Now, some people, they're just genetic freaks, and they can just thrive at the lower single-digit body fat percentages. Somebody like me, I put size on easier than size comes off, or than I shred. So it's simple, in theory, to eat a lot of food, but it can be hard to put it into practice. But if you're one of those people that just has a hard time eating the food, that's just what you have to, really dig deep in. For me, like when I go on a weight cut, I really have to like lock in and make sure I'm, staying straight as an arrow on my program. Otherwise, like one day off my plan when I'm doing a cut can completely throw me off. Where for some people, they're the opposite. If they're bulking and they're eating their meals and then one day they take a day off, that could throw them off completely. Their appetite could just be shot. For me, if I take a day break from my meal plan during the off season, next day, appetite's fully there. I can eat, no problem. I have no issues throwing down lots of food and getting the calories in, as you can clearly see by the body fat percentages on my physique. But the more food in your system, the more weight you're going to be able to push. Weight isn't everything, but mass moves mass. So the bigger you are, more weight you're going to move. The more weight you're moving, more potential you have to build more muscle. So everything plays off of each other. So just keep that in mind. But anyway, that's going to do it for today's video. I appreciate all of you guys for stopping by yet again. And with that being said, I will see you when I see you.